The parking lot felt different after the final bell, too open, too exposed. Emma stepped out into the sunlight, the noise of the school fading behind her. Engines rumbled, doors slammed, laughter echoed and then disappeared as students scattered. She scanned the rows of cars instinctively, her shoulders tightening. Tyler was already there. He stood near the bike rack with his friends, hands shoved into his pockets, confidence stretched across his face like armor. When he saw her, he smiled, not wide, just enough to let her know he'd been waiting. Emma slowed, every instinct screaming at her to turn back, but there was nowhere to go. Teachers had vanished. Parents were late. The world had moved on. Thought you weren't coming, Tyler said as she passed. She didn't answer. Hey, he called, stepping closer. I'm talking to you. Her backpack strap dug into her shoulder as a hand grabbed it from behind. Not rough. Not yet. Just enough to stop her. Emma flinched, breath catching in her throat. Then, a truck door slammed. The sound cracked across the lot like a warning shot. Everyone froze. Emma turned. Her dad stood beside his pickup, jaw tight, eyes locked on the group near his daughter. He took in the scene in a single glance, the hand on her bag, the circle forming around her, the way she'd gone still. Something hardened behind his eyes, not anger exactly, but certainty. He walked toward him. Each step was calm, deliberate, heavy with intent. The boys shifted, unease creeping in where confidence had been. Tyler dropped his hand. Problem? Tyler asked, trying to sound casual. Emma's dad stopped inches away. He didn't shout. He didn't swear. His voice was low and steady, the kind that didn't need volume. You put your hands on my daughter, he said. Tyler scoffed. We were just. Don't, her dad cut in. One word. Final. He leaned in slightly, just enough for Tyler to see his eyes clearly. You touch her again, he said, voice firm as steel, and this becomes a very different conversation, one you won't enjoy. The air went quiet. Even the wind seemed to pause. Tyler swallowed. He stepped back. So did the others. No laughter now. No jokes. Just retreat. Let's go, someone muttered. They left without another word. Emma's dad turned to her immediately, all the sharpness gone. He knelt, hands gentle as he checked her face. You hurt? He asked softly. She shook her head, then broke, arms wrapping around him as the fear finally drained away. He held her there, solid and unmovable. Behind him, the parking lot returned to normal. But something had changed. This time, someone had stepped in. Emma woke before her alarm, the grey light barely creeping through her curtains. For a moment, she lay still, listening to the house settle, the tick of cooling pipes, the distant hum of the refrigerator. Her stomach already ached, tight and hollow at the same time. She got dressed slowly, choosing clothes like armor. Long sleeves. Thick fabric. Nothing bright. Nothing that might invite notice. In the bathroom mirror, she checked her shoulder. The bruise had deepened overnight, purple-edged with yellow, ugly and undeniable. She turned away from it. Her dad drove her to school, one hand on the wheel, coffee in the other. He talked about the weather, about stopping for burgers later in the week. Normal things. Safe things. Emma answered when she needed to, watched the school grow larger through the windshield, brick and glass waiting like a held breath. Have a good day, kiddo, he said as she opened the door. I will, she lied, smiling because it was easier. The halls buzzed with lockers slamming and voices colliding. Emma kept to the edges, eyes forward. She made it through the first few classes without incident, the relief settling in like a fragile truce. Then came lunch. The cafeteria was loud and bright, chaos contained by long tables and supervision that only worked on paper. Emma carried her tray, scanning for a quiet corner. She almost made it. Hey, earthquake. Her heart dropped. Tyler and his friends blocked her path, grinning like they'd been waiting. Someone stuck out a foot. Her tray tipped, milk splashing across the floor, fries scattering. Careful, Tyler said. Wouldn't want you hurting yourself. Laughter erupted around them. Emma stood frozen, cheeks burning, ears ringing. A monitor glanced over, frowned, then turned away to break up a louder argument across the room. I said don't, Emma whispered, more to herself than him. Tyler leaned closer. Or what? That was when a hand grabbed her backpack strap from behind and yanked. Not hard. Just enough. Enough to remind her how easy it was. The bell rang again. Chaos moved on. Tyler let go, eyes cold now. After school, he said. Parking lot. Emma picked up her fries with shaking hands. No one helped. No one met her eyes. By the time she reached her seat, her appetite was gone, replaced by a heavy certainty settling in her chest. All afternoon, she watched the clock, each minute dragging like it was weighted. Teachers talked. Notes were taken. None of it stuck. When the final bell rang, Emma felt it like a verdict. She walked outside with the other students, the sun glaring off windshields. The parking lot stretched ahead, wide and exposed. And Tyler was already there, waiting. Home was supposed to be where things loosened. Where the tight knot in Emma's chest could finally untwist. But that afternoon, the house felt too quiet, like it was holding its breath. She dropped her backpack by the door and slipped off her shoes, lining them up the way her dad liked, heels to the wall, toes out. The familiar smell of laundry detergent and old coffee wrapped around her, comforting and heavy at the same time. Her dad's truck wasn't in the driveway yet. He was still at work. Good, she thought. She needed a minute. Emma went straight to the bathroom and locked the door. The light buzzed on overhead, too bright. She leaned over the sink and stared at her reflection. The red mark on her shoulder was already blooming beneath the fabric. Her lip throbbed where she'd bitten it, hard, to keep from crying. Stop, she told herself quietly. You're fine. She ran cold water over a washcloth and pressed it to her face. The chill grounded her, just enough to breathe again. She practiced smiling in the mirror, small, careful smiles, the kind that didn't ask questions. The kind that made adults nod and move on. By the time she heard the rumble of her dad's truck outside, she'd changed into an oversized hoodie and tied her hair back to hide the worst of it. Hey, her dad called as he came in, voice warm and tired. You beat me home. Yeah, she answered quickly. Too quickly. She busied herself with the fridge, pretending to look for a snack. He noticed anyway. He always did. You good? He asked, setting his keys down. She nodded. Of course she did. That was the rule, unspoken but heavy. He worked too hard. He worried too much already. She didn't want to add herself to the list. They ate dinner together, the television murmuring in the background. Her dad talked about work, about a machine that refused to cooperate. Emma laughed at the right places, pushed food around her plate, and kept her sleeves pulled down. Later, in her room, she finally let the day catch up to her. She sat on her bed, knees hugged tight, and stared at the wall where glow-in-the-dark stars still clung from when she was younger. One had fallen, leaving a faint outline behind. She thought about Tyler's grin. About the way everyone had looked and not looked at the same time. Down the hall, her dad washed dishes, humming off key. Emma swallowed hard and lay back, eyes burning. She told herself the same thing she always did, that tomorrow might be better. But deep down, she already knew. Tomorrow would be the same. At first, it looked like nothing. Just another afternoon at Jefferson Middle, where the halls emptied in waves and the teachers' voices faded into the walls. Emma walked with her head down, fingers tight around the straps of her backpack, moving fast enough to avoid attention but not fast enough to escape it. She'd learned that pace over years, quick, quiet, invisible. Or at least she tried to be. Laughter cracked behind her. Hey, earthquake, Tyler called, dragging the word out. Watch where you're going. Emma didn't look back. Looking back made it worse. Looking back turned words into hands. She felt the shove before she understood it, her shoulder slamming into the lockers with a hollow clang. The metal was cold through her hoodie. A book slipped from her bag and skidded across the floor, pages fluttering like startled birds. Oops, another voice said. She's so clumsy. Kids passed by. Some slowed. Some stared. Most didn't stop. A few looked away too quickly, like eye contact might make them responsible. Someone whispered her name, not in concern, just recognition, like labeling a problem they were glad wasn't theirs. Emma crouched to grab her book, cheeks burning. Her hands shook as she reached for it. That's when Tyler's foot came down, pinning the pages to the floor. Relax, he said. We're just messing around. Emma froze. Her heart hammered so hard it felt loud enough for everyone to hear. She could smell his cologne, cheap and sharp, and the sour hint of cafeteria fries still clinging to the air. Please, she whispered. The word slipped out before she could stop it. That did it. Tyler grinned. Hear that? He said to his friends. She says please. The bell rang. Salvation for everyone else. Doors opened. Teachers appeared. The hallway shifted, alive again. Tyler lifted his foot and stepped back, hands raised in mock innocence. Guess we'll finish this later, he said. Emma watched him walk away, laughing, untouched. She stood there a moment longer, forcing her breathing to slow. Her reflection stared back at her from the locker, eyes too big, shoulders too tight, a girl folded inward like she was trying to disappear. A teacher asked if she was okay. Emma nodded. She always nodded. Outside, the sky was wide and blue, painfully open. The bike racks rattled in the breeze. Everything looked normal, ordinary, safe. That was the worst part. Because everyone saw something. But no one saw enough to stop it. And Emma walked home that day knowing the truth she carried every afternoon like extra weight in her backpack. Tomorrow would come. And unless something changed, nothing would.